So yeah, another book. I love it. I'm saying this like it's supposed to mean something, but yeah. Also the book disappeared, but anyway. This book, the one good thing, also I don't know why, probably because something to do with probably how I handled it. I've got a bit of a thing, but I think that's probably nothing to worry about. No damage to be on the page, so it's like mostly fine. Anyway, this book is interesting because this book is only, and this is important, this is like basic information of like number of pages and all that stuff, like 190 pages, yet has 45 chapters. And the reason why I like this is because the chapters are pretty short. For instance, chapter 1, if you just look at the pages, I'm not going to say what's in it, just the length, is page 1 to page 5. 5 pages. With text not being that big, and some having less because it has descriptions of the puzzles in the game. And obviously I'm doing this, you would read it backwards, but puzzles of this game, of this book specifically. And the idea is there's this weather god who controls the weather and was put on Earth. And if someone doesn't entertain him by completing puzzles, they don't go through. And at first, the one thing which I thought was interesting is that I thought this was going to be, and I don't mean this in the bad way, just more how prominent it was going to be, that this was going to be a sort of Harry Potter. You can sort of tell why I thought that, if you know what I mean. Main character, brown hair, side character, this side, a little bit of like more colourful hair, and female. That's not me saying that is in books, that's just me drawing comparison from this to Harry Potter. Are there bits of entertainment books? I don't know. I don't read too much, I can't answer that, besides comic books, which I know comic book characters exist. Are there female characters that can be main characters? Yes. But this sort of gives me an echo of the books of Harry Potter. But the one thing I do find interesting is at a certain point in this book, they sometimes bring up the brother. And when they're doing and learning a bit about the challenges, they sort of lie to him. So that through most of his puzzles, you do actually get these main 3 people. And I kind of suspected this because this isn't anything that I complain. The way they do it makes sense and still makes it a good thing. But seeing a trope, also, I would like to point out, the puzzles in this are actually written as puzzles rather than someone sees this. It's like, here's the setup for this situation. You can just pause here, think about the puzzle, think about how you would do it, and then carry on reading. Which is good for a book about, puzzles. I don't think I need to explain why. But I also think that at some point, Philai, and just before they enter the challenge, he finds out the truth. He doesn't believe them, and then he leaves. Because the teacher is sort of like, gets injured. And then all of them come together and then do the puzzle. But at a certain point, he tricks them and puts them in a hole. But you know who comes back? So this character's brother kind of bullies them a bit. And is more like athletic, rather than these 3 being a version of intelligence, he's more stereotypically. Which I would like to point out, sports and this does have some intelligence. You always have different versions of intelligence. I feel like there's at least like sort of 4. There's sort of people smart, there's sort of environment smart, and why am I saying they're different? I mean like wilderness, outside environment, the trees, the plants. There's academia smart, which is based on knowledge of facts and figures, and then sort of like business and trickery smart. I don't like Harry Potter, and yes, I am relating this Harry Potter, again, 3 people. But it does have some There's some problems with it in my opinion still. Some things I do agree, where you have someone who's book smart, someone who's emotional smart, so basically Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff, someone who's sort of like leadership smart, which you might think I would say is Slytherin, but I'm gonna say it's Gryffindor for a very logical reason. Then you have the cunning. And why would I say that that's different to people? Is I see them as sort of like learning and being patient, and obviously this analogy doesn't fit. So basically, Hufflepuff environment, basically learning, and again, this analogy doesn't work, but you get my point. There's different types of intelligence. I've been always the people where if you put Hufflepuff for Hogwarts houses into different things, what would I say? Hufflepuff's emotional, learns about the needs. Ravenclaw, intelligence, could basically tell you any facts in the world. Gryffindor, brave and sort of like courageous and maybe able to learn a bit more about land by doing more, by being brave and tricky. Slytherin, I wouldn't always say tricks you, but basically learns your intelligence. That's what I like about this book. Going back to this book. Sorry for giving a Harry Potter lesson, even though like I don't actively read it. I do have the book, the DVDs, but that's Blu-ray. I'm never giving a Blu-ray that has bonus features on it. I don't know why, and I am not giving those up. Blu-ray feature. Having bonus features is always a plus, and I only bought it and I ain't getting rid of it. So, stupid, I don't know. That's not the point. But the brother, being able to go to and find them and then go out the other side and using his intelligence of the grounds and learning about physically being active, gets them out and gets them to find them. And I find that interesting. And it's like, oh, you don't need to be like an intellect. You don't need to be a genius to figure out this, but you do need to trust. And I like that. I also like the fact that legitimately they lied to them and it didn't work, which I think is a good idea because it doesn't go to the main three, which yes, I know there's 4 people, but sort of like the main three that you sort of see throughout the book. And yes, you see Brother through like I think quite a bit of it, but the main challenge is that I want to be free, and they lied to him, and it didn't work. Lying won't help you through this. I also like the fact that he tricked this Gaunt. And I think it's sort of implied that, because this is the Puzzle Mystery Adventures book 1. I don't know if there's going to be a continuation of it. They sort of implied that there is, but I don't know. I will read the rest of it. Not right now. Also, there is a website. Visit PJ's and try some cool puzzles at pjnichole.com. Apparently there's some puzzles on there. Go and check that out. So yeah, besides weirdly going on a tangent about Harry Potter, again, I'm not complaining. Having these 3 as iconically is not a bad thing. This book is absolutely amazing. And more importantly, which also might take a bit of time but not too much as the other one, this book is designed, if I'm correct, as being dyslexia friendly. If you have dyslexia, this book is not that hard to read. Like, I found this, like, easy. And, like, there's a lot of other books, including Tales of the Pizza Place, which I'm currently reading, which is hard. This isn't that blocky. So, yeah. This is going to be the last one for a bit, because we kind of stopped at this point, because we wanted to wait until we can see both, which is, I think, A Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Part 2. So this is going to be, when we review it tomorrow, the last for a bit. I should really make sure to one of these. My reviews are 10 minutes long. But yeah, that is next. If you want to watch it. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed this video about this book. I hope you enjoy, and yeah, good night. Yeah, I'm gonna wait another 5 seconds. So no. Oh, the world's gonna end. Still no. I don't feel like it. So yeah, this. I do know one thing, which isn't connected to this, because as you can see here, this is Henry Cavill. And I know there was bad CGI in I think it was Justice League movies, because there was a conflict between this and that, and it's like, oh, we need to go back and do some reshoots. And it's like, well, he needs a mustache in this, and we're gonna have a contract to film that he can't shave it. So it's like, so it's like bad CGI to cover up the mustache. Not important to this movie, and legitimately, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I just know it is a thing. So yeah. I also do know that Jeremy Renner's character is not in this. This is when, obviously, he left. Which is a fair point. I also like that this one, I'll leave it at that. Also, this is the time that I paused, because there wasn't much, besides the two-parter, which is next, and the final. I would love more, but I do agree there's at some point where you can't do this, and I'm not going to say Tom Cruise might be a bit on an age, and I'm not going to say that for all the things he's done, he probably has a bunch of injuries. But, you know, that. So there's probably a reason why he might not want to do this indefinitely. I would also do think it's a fun idea if they do, and I don't know who did say it, or if I'm like, I don't know if anyone has it, or I heard it from someone else, but I think it would be a fun idea, is because I watched Dead Reckoning Part 1, and I think I've reviewed Dead Reckoning Part 2, and because of this system, I am going to re-review Dead Reckoning Part 1. And I do know about a character, but I'm going to bring up that. So this is spoilers in general, but I am going to say specifically when I'm going to talk about Dead Reckoning. So the one thing I like about this is, in the early movies, Tom Cruise sort of has a partner, and because of a whole bunch of things, a divorce and going into secrecy, they're sort of no longer really connected. But in this, she's back, and kind of an important figure in the movie, which is fun. There's not really much to say about that, but I do love that idea of, like, she's back for this one moment. I also, if I'm not mistaken, besides the villain in this, which I love the whole thing that they do, which is Henry Cavill's character has this whole spy stuff, and it's really fun and interesting. You also have the villain from the last one come back, which is also fun. You also have, and I didn't mention this, the spy who was sort of doing stuff in the last one come back, which is a fun idea. Which I didn't mention in the last one, but the whole thing about, like, bringing security and the Prime Minister in and doing this whole elaborate trick where they try and be like, oh, they saved him, and like, oh, didn't you do this good thing, and reviewed this thing, and that is, again, one of the funnest things, besides the one. But that's why I think this is good. And a little bit of hypothesis. Now is the time. Spoiler for Dead Reckoning. Go to the next part if you don't want to know this, or you haven't watched Dead Reckoning. Okay? 3, 2, 1. There's sort of a new character introduced in Dead Reckoning, and I would think, like, currently, I don't know it, but John Wick, don't know the movie, so this is not really a spoiler, but John Wick has the film Ballerina, which they have said is connected to a character who was originally in John Wick that gets brought back in and has their own movie. Do that. If they want to continue sort of like the Mission Impossible world without Ethan Hunt or Tom Cruise. I don't know. It's just an idea. But yeah, this is a fun film franchise. I don't really have much to say in these ones because besides it getting more and more into this, like, doing the mask, doing these, like, tricks, it's fun. But it is mostly, like, the same sort of stuff. And I'm also not going to do a combination now. I'm only going to do it because I think Dead Reckoning Part 2 will be the last one for the thing. I don't know if they're going to do spin-offs completely, and because I don't know that, I could still do it and then be like, oh, spin-offs included. Da-da-da. But I feel like that would be more something I figure out later what I should do. So yeah. So 2 fairly short ones, because this one's like 5 minutes compared to like, I think the last one was like 8 and 10, and this one's 5. And the next one is pretty also going to be pretty short, which is fun. But yeah. Yeah, I know that's basic. Like Star Wars. So this is going to be simple because one, this is a simple show. That's not a problem. It's fun. It's cool. It's amazing. I found it once, and I'm glad I did. I did some googling, and there is a season 3. Hasn't yet started, as far as I'm aware, and apparently it's about like robots and like looking after them. I don't know if that's true or not. The fact that season 3 can, yeah. I also done a bit of other research, which could or could not be true, because I just do research on just looking up Google websites and just checking stuff, which usually isn't true. It doesn't. It doesn't also have that I'm kind of a dumbass and don't check sources well. That apparently this takes sort of like 200 years before like the main prequels. Not the main. Those are the prequels. So all these people probably are dead, I think. I know that's sad to think about in like a sort of like show aimed for kids, and I do say that because it is still a fun show. But yeah. The only other thing I have to say, which I think is really interesting, and I think will lead into something really fun later, is in this you had 2 characters that are sort of the connecting points between like one story where you meet a princess and she's sometimes reoccurring, and another one where you meet another character who is at one hand a prince, the other Tabor the thief. I always forgot his other name because again I'm not good at this. I'm not good at remembering names and which is interesting and fun. The more fun part of that, out of all of this, in my opinion, is that this person here was friends with his sort of like prince and didn't know that Tabor was the prince. And then when they realise they're together, they have a breaking up, and sort of like he has a conflict of interest, which is interesting and really fun in my opinion. I think because it's a simple show, and I don't think we're going to do I think we're going to do a thing where he might redeem somehow. I don't know. Star Wars does this. There's a lot of villains that later get redeemed. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. And definitely for like who this is aimed for. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. This is not a show that's like it's aimed for kids. And I'm not saying that way when I say there's certain things of like redeeming, but there's certain ideas. Again, not bad. Other shows where some villains are just villains, or some people don't get redeemed, or the villains are a bit messy. Yes. Those are other shows, not this. That's besides the point. I do think that's going to happen. So yeah. Also, I don't think I remember it in season 1, but I also did something which is interesting, is that this group here sort of has a type of theming towards the main Star Wars group. More specifically, young sort of like Jedi who's a bit confident and has a bit sort of like, not ego, but a little bit like, I'm good, I'm amazing. A sort of like female, sort of like more emotional one of the group that has sort of like the princess vibe. Not princess in save me princess, but sort of like elegant vibe. A sort of like Wookiee or companion, and a pilot. And if you're referring to what I'm referring to the original Star Wars group. Is that just, am I going and saying that that sort of has a similar like dynamic? There probably is a reason, because you can see them, I think, in a couple of other things that has this similar sort of idea. I don't know. I really don't. I just don't know if I'm pulling the straws or just being fully insane. But yeah. So yeah, I recommend you to watch this. It's good. There's nothing else more to say. It's fun. It is definitely worth watching. Here's a fun thing. I forgot to take an image of this. Hence why horizontal rather than vertical. Because I just quickly grabbed this. Again, as well as memory, I'm not good at this uploading thing. Anyway, Die Hard with Vengeance. We're gonna have that next. I thought it was the Diamond High series. Again, I'm stupid. Like then, I had it cut off because of 5% battery. Again, what I'm saying is I'm stupid sometimes, but yeah. Now, let's go into danger and puzzles. So yeah,
This on, please.
Die Hard with Vengeance. I knew about one scene, which I seen like go around because it's one of those fun scenes. I'm also kind of still liking it because I know at a certain point, there's a couple of ones I think aren't as liked, but I think you had the first one, you had the second one, and then you have this one, which is the third one. And I like it. I think personally that this is the best one, simply because you have like two people who are just throwing like these like witty lines, and that sort of like, oh this, and then this, and then this. I think it's chaotically fun and insane because of that. That's one reason why I love this, is because of that chaotic, like, to it all. It's fun, it's chaotic, and yeah, definitely watch it. It's definitely worth it. And I'm jumping ahead, but yeah. One of the things I like is the puzzles. There is one puzzle that I definitely remember. I was like, okay, how was it done again? Which is basically, I don't know if this is the exact measurements. I think it's like 5 and 3 to create a 4. Basically, 5 liter bottle to create a 3 liter bottle, and you have to create 4 liters. Which I think the process is it somewhere along the lines of you fill the 5 bottle and then the 3 bottle, fill the 3 bottle and then the 5 bottle, you fill the 3 bottle, you fill the 5 bottle and then you put the 5 bottle into the 3 bottle, and then it's something along the lines of that. It's something along the lines of you transfer one into the other. It's complicated, and again, I can't say this, I'm not the most smartest person, so that's like one of the ones that like I find interesting. But I know something about like you transfer one bottle to the other, which makes it at a certain point where 2 liters is in 1 minus that is in the other, and you somehow create 1, which equals like you create 5 getting 1 somehow. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, you put the 3 in the 1 somehow. I know that's somewhat what it is. So yeah. Again, this is fun. This is cool. I, for the longest time, didn't watch this because it was like, oh, Die Hard's a Christmas film. Because the first and second one takes place during Christmas, and so I just didn't watch it. Also, I like the meme of like, Die Hard is a Christmas film. And yes, I'm also the same person who's like, no. Nightmare Before Christmas is not a Christmas film. Because Roger says it. And then you have Die Hard. And I'm like, no, it is a Christmas film. For the same reason why I should have agreed that Nightmare Before Christmas is. Which nowadays I sort of want the argument, I'm like, okay, Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas film, but also a Halloween film. I am not letting that go. But I also will never let go of the fact that Die Hard is a Christmas film. This does mean I have watched 2 Die Hard Christmas films in a curse way. You guys were not doing a job. Anyway. But 3 onwards, I don't think takes place during Christmas, and it's mostly action. The reason why I think 1 and 2 is during Christmas, about reconnecting with his family and trying to sort of like be more there for your family. That's why. I know it's very vague, but at a certain point, Die Hard, definitely the first one, and maybe for the second one. The first one is basically Home Alone for adults. You can see why. Action, sort of like traps, investigations, and people trying to be in a situation where they're not, and stealing things. Alongside the fact that you have one person doing quips. I don't know. I think plenty of people have made my comparisons before. I'm not smart for making that, and I think I've heard it from someone else. I'm not going to claim I thought of this. I'm not saying otherwise. And then the next one is going to be a short one. So yeah. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and good night. So I'm sort of doing these back to back because I forgot yesterday, so why not? Diamond Heist. This is cool. There might be a bit of upload differences so that I can still do the shorts, but I'm recording them at the same time. This is fun. It's a heist that exists. It's a fun documentary, and learning about it, definitely how they edit it in a way is really interesting. Again, I'm a fan of them showing the recreations and then going to like the questions and interviews, because having like that sort of like, this is like the idea of what they went through is a fun idea. And the thing at the end, I think, is absolutely clever about like, you know. But yeah. And then more of these. That's tomorrow. That's on Saturday. Unless I mess up again. But yeah. Woo! So come aboard and bring the light. I love the show. I know this isn't 8 seconds, it is 9 seconds, but close enough. Also, I would like to point out there's going to be something new. So, don't point it for this. I like this. This is fun. I want to talk about the more spoilery stuff, so I'm going to jump straight into that. Yeah. Okay, while I start talking about this, I just need to quickly check because it was on 126 and I was on 128. But yeah. What is in this, which I like, is there was a lot of talk, because obviously I watched Dub, and Sub was done a while ago, because this was done before the sort of like hiatus. So that happened, so that meant there was a break in the animation, and then they did the Fishman arc, and then they had a break, and then they also did, I think, the Fan Letter, which I really want to watch, but again, I watched Dub. I know a lot of people are like, oh, here's the reason why you watch Sub, because you can get more of the vernaculars, and why is my computer pretending to be locked every single 5 seconds? Besides the point, it's the thing where, like, the nuances in Japanese means that if you watch it in Sub, you get it more. My problem is, I want to look at this and I can't read and watch at the same time. There is certain exceptions, but most of the time I watch Dub. I know there's probably a better reason to watch Sub, I just can't read and watch at the same time. The only time I do that is for video games where I'm like, I can pause and just carry on reading, or stuff I'm like, okay, I can generally get the stuff for this and I'm fine. But with this, the visuals, definitely during the fight of, like, Luffy's dad versus, you know, the ice person, that fight, it looked awesome. And the sort of whole break, the punch, the fight, the one where it's like, you go and like the fight at it, and you see, because Luffy had a friend all the way in the past, so he's getting up and training. And then he had this thing about, oh, he does this, punching the tree, and then all of a sudden, the fist, which is cool. It's amazing, and I absolutely love it. So yeah. So I think there are better people to talk about this, but I am going to bring something new, so let's do that. Do watch this, it's fun. So I have a Patreon where I have a poll of what I watch and people's reactions. So I might actually use this. It, one, allows me to talk about what people who support me think about it, and two, allows me to add my Patreon in. I know I don't really deserve to get a Patreon because I don't do the best content, but I have one. And you can be in here where you can vote if you think the thing is good, bad, and I think it's like good, meh, bad, or didn't see, because I'm not gonna be like, so did you like this show? I haven't seen it. Yeah, this is a thing that I'm gonna be adding. The poll is gonna be after the conclusion. I might not add it I might add it a little bit in documentaries. I don't know how that's gonna work, but I'll figure it out then. But after this, we have this. I'm just gonna test my short ones, but yeah, this. So yeah, I hope you enjoy and good night. So yeah, this. I don't usually do this because this is essentially like E3, but they did this as a sort of like live thing, so I watched it. It's fun. It's the first time I've actually watched something like it. I don't know if it was the first time that they made it like live on Netflix, because I've heard like Netflix do similar stuff, but yeah. Also, well, I guess I'll put timestamp, but you know, if you want to join, obviously at the moment 0. But I'm gonna add these to come my reviews, being like, if you want, here's what the people who support me think about it. So I add your opinions. So if you support me, you can get this. So, and then next, Moonrise Season 1, which that's gonna be a long one, short to long, yeah. But yeah.